Those of you tuning in on YouTube, just give us a few more minutes here. We're letting some folks trickle in, and we will jumpstart this bad boy.
Less than 1 minute. 30 seconds by my clock. Start leaving your questions, contracts in the chat, and we'll get to everything in the order it appears. Unless I skip it by accident. In which case, just reping me to tell me to go look at it, and I will. All right, it's 3 o'clock. We'll get this thing rolling. As always, start this off by saying nothing here is financial advice. Everything is strictly for educational, entertainment purposes only. Let's have a good stream. All right, so as usual, nothing crazy planned to talk about. I guess we could talk about one recent update that you guys might find useful. So the stock watch list sidebar now allows for quick navigation between tickers. And instead of reading this blurb, I will just show it to you live in action. So let's just say I have a flow feed, a filter that I want to look up a specific ticker for. So let's say I only want to see the NVIDIA flow for that specific ticker. I pull up my stock watch list from the sidebar here, and if I just click on the ticker name, the feed will load in with the respective ticker. Works on other pages as well. So for instance, you may find it particularly handy for something like the GEX page. So if I'm just here, I just click NVIDIA, quick switch, instead of having to, click over here, type in Tesla, click it. It's just boom, right here. All right, so that's any other updates we could talk about? Contract charting also now available in the Superflow multi-screen view. Let's just do one right now. Why not? I'll just add the first contract that someone posted up in here. So someone wants to look at the KDP 29 strike October 17 calls. Indeed. And I think there's a bug here. Yeah. So even though I specified the 29, this thing doesn't want to load in the 29. You got to click it like that. So we'll get that taken care of. It shows up right here. Not exactly the view I want to look at it from. So let's just pull it up again on its own. What is going on here? All right. So KDP, here we go. So a contract that has had some recent activity, as we can see. We can see starting from the 16th, 17th, and today, decent amount of activity that we know is opening. The activity on the 16th resulted in quite a sizable increase in open interest, as did yesterday's activity. KDB being Dr. Pepper. Don't know anything about it. You can see the net call premium moving based on these this activity here. There was another KDP. Give me 1 second to pull it up in the Discord. I think it was a call spread, maybe. Give me 1 second. Yes, okay. So it's the KDP January 28-23 strike call spread. So when was that open? That was opened back on the 8th. Potentially added to through cross trades here. Let's just pull up the spread real quick. So on the 8th of September, you can see equal sized activity on both the 28 and the 33 strike. Here's the 28 strike. Ask side activity. Here's the bid side activity on the 33 strike. And we see other activity here that is resulting in an increase in open interest on all of those. Let's check the short chain. Yeah, so I mean, it could be someone else tailing through cross trades. I mean, we don't know what the intent of these this specific volume is, but at least we do know that there is one call spread in play here, and it looks to be a bull call spread by the available data. The available data being the assumed long leg trading at the ask, the assumed short leg trading close to the bid. Not fully, but close. Yeah, so that's KDP. Let's move on. Next, we got PDYN. Looks like a couple. Yeah, Jignesh has been the one sharing them. So let's see here. The 10 strike, or the 9 strike October calls, excuse me. PDYN. This list is getting unwieldy. So PDYN trading at slightly above average volume today and yesterday. Today we have 2,000 straight, just a flat 2,000 traded on this contract. Yeah, I think it's a buy to open probably. I mean, it starts off filling at 45 here. And then like a minute later, IV is also increased, fills going up. I mean, the stock price has gone up too, though. What is this thing anyways? Paladine AI Corp. Yeah, so there's these small cap AI names, they're a dime a dozen lately, aren't they? Recent other stuff includes Sound, that was today. Looks like these calls are a little bit off the highs. This big volume came in at 149. I think there was also like some BBAI stuff lately. Looks like I didn't save it. If you know what it is, feel free to mention it. All right, let's see here. Moving on, we got the United Health July 2026. 330 strike calls. Slightly in the money right now. Let me make sure I looked at your thing right. That is the chain that you mentioned. I don't really see what we are supposed to be looking at here. If you could provide a clarification, who is that? Para Inc. Please do. Not quite sure what we're supposed to be looking at here. We'll get back to that one. Next, we got NNOX. The 5C February. Indeed, some opening activity here. What is this thing? NNOX. Healthcare. Nano X Imaging. Not earnings. Oh, I mean, it overlaps earnings, right? Earnings is 63 days away. This thing expires in 155 days. So it's going to overlap, what, like 2 earnings calls maybe? So like not an earnings trade. Trading at 12 times normal, 43% of which is coming from this specific contract. What are the other ones? Maybe some 10C 2027, and then some smaller ask side activity over here. But yeah, I guess it's just like these two that are moving it today. Let's see. Next is RBRK. That was this morning. I think I saved this one. I did. So they came in pretty early for 3,600 right here. So at the time of this trade, the daily volume was like 36. That was all the volume that took place. And that's not, I saw someone in the Flow discussion channel, they'd mentioned that there's a lot of open interest, which is true, you know, kind of relatively speaking, you know, 2,200 open interest to 3,600 volume. I mean, I guess it's still more volume than open interest, but like I don't know, just not a big ratio, right? The volume to open interest ratio isn't really that important once you get past 1, I guess. But there was some additional volume here. What we see for open interest tomorrow will be interesting, I guess. Probably see, I don't know, like plus 500 or plus 5,000 maybe, at least. We'll see. Moving on, we got the BN January 75 strike calls right here. Similar-ish volume on these, so I guess we'll just take a look at those while we're here. Did they take place at the same time? No. All right, so I guess we'll just ignore that ADC. So let's just look at this one right here. So BN is trading at slightly above average volumes. What is this thing? Brookfield Office Properties, what is like a REIT or something? Once again, overlaps earnings, but like that doesn't necessarily make it an earnings trade per se. Probably biased to open, I guess, just by looking at it, if I had to guess. All right, let's move on. Lennar with earnings tonight. So let's keep that in mind. The Lennar weekly 130 put, I think is what you posted. Yep, the weekly 130 put. So there was some activity. I'm not sure which activity you're looking to discuss. There was some of this on the 12th, which resulted in an increase in open interest. However, 95% of all of this volume was attached to another contract. So let's just see what's going on here. Yeah, you just click on any one of these, most likely. So it was actually a 3-leg trade, which makes it, it's very complicated. There's much to look at. So I guess it's probably going to be too complicated for us to really parse through. So I guess we should just ignore it, which is no slight on you. I'm not trying to ignore you. I'm just saying, like, sometimes the flow just doesn't, there's nothing there to really analyze. It's just kind of confusing. And I say that probably at least once a stream, if you don't see anything you like, just you don't have to trade it. It wasn't clear there. Many of the times it's not going to be clear, and that's fine. Let's see. Next, Bean has simply posted the ticker BFly. Let's see. BFly indeed. It's not $2, is it? Yeah, okay. So $2. A whole bunch of opening activity here. It's all of this stuff really. What is BFly? This rings a bell. This was a weird meme stock back in the day, I think. Yeah, okay, so it's one of these guys. Yeah, 2021, the meme market. Oh, yeah, so there's just a bug going on here. I think because whatever the last ticker I looked at, causing some troubles here. But let's see. I mean, it could just be like people playing the pump. So it's always hard to trade this, right? Like, this thing just ripped 15% intraday. Once it does that, how much more can we get? So who knows? But yeah, BFly trading 58 times normal volume, which is just from this, presumably. Yeah. All right, moving on. We got FDX, which also has earnings tonight. The FDX 245 call weekly has some flow. Let's take a look. 245 weekly, that is tomorrow. That is this chain right here, which I assume is multi-legged, as our friend Marmadoc points out in the chat. So let's see. Just pull up. Maybe not. Is it not? Could be. That one 700. Yeah, so I mean the 700 The multi-leg volume was actually, I take that back. Let's see here. So there is some multi-leg volume, but I don't think it is this. This candle looks to be its own thing. And that thing looks to be uh, this thing right here, which is very likely an opening trade because the open interest doesn't, although there is more open interest than the size of this candle, there doesn't look like, the historical data doesn't support the theory that someone owns 900 contracts, right? It just looks like just random amounts of people trickling in. So probably an opener, 245 weekly. What is the expected move here? So it's outside the expected move by a fair bit. And keep in mind, it is the 245 call, right? It is the 245 call. And we can see here that the expected move goes out to 242. So you might think, oh, it's only $3 away. But you got to also remember the guy's he's paying about $3 to get in these. So his break even is 248 pretty much. So yeah. Let's see, what does this thing do historically? FedEx. Recently hasn't done much. Before this recent stretch of nothing, it kind of had some big moves. So who knows? I'm going to skip a couple of these because someone has mentioned ticker shoe. What are we looking at here? Are they out? Oh, you just want my thoughts on it? Yeah, we'll go over that. All right, back to the original order here. Bidu. The Bidu 150, 10-3 right here. A split of bid and ask side volume, but like maybe it's just one stick, and maybe the tape will help us decipher it a little bit. So yeah, is there more room for China to run? We'll see. So Bidu. I mean, it's definitely opening activity. Obviously, there's only 188 open interest, and then there's like a lot of contracts coming in here. I would lean buys to open here. Do we have any other that we're tracking? Oh, this is old. I think this one's already ran a bunch. Yeah, that one already ran. Can't remember. How's JD doing? JD 40, the 40 strike January calls that were hit pretty hard on the 8th and the 9th, and like honestly every day since, trading at a new high. Or not a new high, but yesterday's high. It's matching yesterday's high. There might have been some more JD too. Thought I saw something else. Let me see. This one's not really worth looking at. That was this one that was kind of interesting-ish. I don't know. Which one? What strike is this? 40C. Which one's the one? Are we also looking at a 40C? Was the January one also 40C? Yeah, okay, 40C January. A little bit harder to read on this one, but who knows? Let's see. Moving on, we got the Coreweave weekly 120s. The weekly 120, that is right at the money. So we do have a big candle here that is good for 14,000 volume. Do we see any 14,000-ish volume here? Nope, not really. Do we see a similarly sized candle on perhaps the 15th? Do we have a similarly sized candle? Nope. So it could be an opening trade, probably. What does the tape look like? So it's just one. It's just one thing. Probably. I mean, that's got. I mean, that's probably. Let's see here. So what time was that? That was 1:03:18. 1:03:18. Can you, Nick? Can you write a bug for this thing? This text should not be doing that. What did I say it was? 108. So let's go to like 110. Did I do it wrong? Oh, it's 103. Okay, I'm stupid. But we're pretty much looking at. Yeah, I mean, we're basically looking at the whole trade here. I think it's these three. And they're lifting the offer. So, I mean, I think it's a buy to open if I had to guess. I mean, it could be this. It could be included in this as well. But we might be looking too far. I mean, it's a 1 DTE too, so it's like extra risky. I don't know. It's interesting. It is interesting. 329. So they're down a little bit. Interesting. I don't know. I guess I'll check open interest tomorrow. Let's see. Moving on. We got the Oscar. The 18.5. 18.5 October 24th. Yep. Nothing really much to say here. Only 80 open interest, so basically zero. For all intents and purposes, zero open interest. 15,000 traded. So open interest, barring any more big volume here, you probably see what, like at least 11, 12,000 open interest tomorrow. This thing had been having a rough go as of late. How's it looking on a larger scale? Yeah, I remember kind of like, the social media buzz somewhere here. I don't really remember when, but somewhere here. Yeah, but I mean, clearly opening flow here. If you caught this one early, you might have been able to get 10%, 15%, something like that. All right, moving on to Steve Madden. The Steve Madden 35 strike October calls, which appear to have been getting loaded for close to 3 weeks now. Literally zero open interest this time. Not close to zero, literally zero. Position started August 27th, 2,000-ish volume. You can see the open interest increased by 2,000-ish. And then there's subsequent days where the open interest increases by pretty much the full amount, right? So there's no contract handoff going on here. 1,000 contracts have basically been opened here, and then 1,300 on this occasion here. Then there's another day where there's basically another 1,000 here. 1,000, not quite 1,000 here, but like at this point there could be some contract handoff with like maybe some of this smaller volume. But like it looks like someone owns like okay, so 2,000, 1, so 5,000, like 7,000 of these things maybe. Now I don't know what the catalyst is or anything. There's still a month out. Victoria's Secret calls. I mean, like kind of similar theme. When was this? When did this first start? August 28th there. August 27th. Okay, it's not the same day, but I don't know. Maybe a thematic thing, perhaps. I think there was some ANF call flow as well. How's ANF been doing in the last 2 weeks? Okay, so ANF not as hot as Steve Madden or Victoria's Secret. Burlington Coat Factory also getting kind of shit on lately. But I believe the short puts are still above water for now. A whole bunch of them are set to expire this week. The 200, the 220, the 230s, all going to expire this week at 0. like over, like this is like 1.7 million in premium here. This one's 700K. This one's like 1K or 1 mil. So nice there. Let's see. So yeah, Steve Madden, who knows? We'll see. Next we got the Moo end of month 175 strike calls. Let's take a look. Is there any YouTube chat, Nick, also? Drop that in here if there is any.
You kind of hit on the ones that pulled up. The only new one is a Pinduo Duo. I'll drop that in chat.
Word. Don't see much on this Moo here, Para. So you're clarifying the earlier for the UNH. I was hoping to see if there was any activity around 3:30. So UNH, we can take a look at UNH as a whole just to see if there's anything going on. So you might pull up this UNH and see, holy shit, like this opening activity on these puts. But this is just put arbitrage here. Stock's trading at $336, 410, 430 strike puts, just too far on the money. We're gonna look up the flow feed right now. I'm gonna put in puts. I'm gonna put in a $1 million value. I might have to tweak it a little bit, but you're gonna see a whole bunch of in the money puts for, I don't know, like Tesla, Baba, Apple, all these big mega cap stocks. Let's hide ETFs, indices. We can leave ADRs. So as you can see, UNH, a whole bunch of deep in the money puts are being hit. Again, the stock is $336, and you can see like the 500, the 490, et cetera, being hit. This is all completely ignorable activity. It's very likely that there has been high volume in pretty much all of these recently. Let's see. Yeah, so as you can see, there's been volume in this 500 strike put as of late. And you might say, some people are like, oh, but the stock went down, so like they were right. Like they weren't right. Like there's no change in open interest here, right? So there's no position. It's not a real position. It's just like a form of arbitrage. You guys don't need to know how it works. You guys just need to be aware that this stuff is going on, right? So like Lululemon with the stock trading at 170, 350, 250, you know, these deep in the money puts. Let's just take a look at one of them. Here is the 350 January. As you can see, every day for the last 2 weeks, 20 million, 36 million, 141 million, just millions and millions in premiums traded, keyword traded, but no change in open interest. They're not real positions, right? So, but this stuff, it's going to throw off a lot of scanners. It's going to throw off a lot of people's scanners. They're going to say, oh, like elevated put activity here. And yeah, you know, the stock does dip here, but that's just purely coincidental. This has nothing to do with this stuff. Let's just look at like two more. So we looked at UNH already. Yeah, there's more coming in here. So like STZ Constellation Brands trading at 133, the 270, for example. Again, see 173 open interest. It hasn't moved for months. This is actually a great example right here. 173 open interest on this thing since when? Since literally fucking forever ago. And they've recently started using it for arbitrage. But like again, just, it's not a thing. It doesn't mean anything. It throws off the put call ratio. You can see every day the STZ put call ratio is going haywire. And yes, the stock has dropped 160 to 133, right? So you might think, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. The stock's gone down a whole bunch. Clearly the bears are right. It's purely coincidental. All right, let's see. What's a stock that's gone up like 1 trillion% lately? Oracle. Oracle's probably a good one that we can look at. So here's Oracle back on a mere 2 weeks ago when the stock was trading at $222. The stock is now trading at $300. They were doing the same shit. So let's look at the so these are all expired now. How about this 3/20/2026? This one's actually not an example. So maybe not the best example, but you get my point. Okay, the point still stands. Here it is trading at 300. They're doing some weird stuff with the 400 to 390. We spent too much time here. Let's move on. Moving on. Let's see. Joe's asking any flow on Netflix. Haven't seen anything on Netflix as of late. Let's just punch in Netflix here and see if anything comes up. So the only notable thing I was going to say would have possibly been this guy, but this guy might have already pieced out. So you might want to check open interest on this one tomorrow. Potentially, no. I mean, this could have been an in and out too. How much is that? That's 300 volume. That's once. I don't know. Who knows? You'll have to check open interest. But yeah, Netflix haven't really seen much of anything today or lately. I don't know. It's been like a few months since I've seen anything on Netflix, I feel like. Let's see. What is the market doing? Let me just look at my other screen and see. Make sure that the stock market's not exploding while we're out here talking about put arbitrage. That doesn't matter. I'm just looking at my other screen right now. All right, cool. So the world is still largely intact. Let's continue. All right, so we got a Pinduoduo request. Pinduoduo, the end of month. Well, we don't have a strike here. Well, maybe you're asking about the 150s. I'm tracking a couple other ones, but let's just see. 150, 26. Here we go. So opening activity, like it's very clearly opening activity. Kind of lotto-ish. I mean, it's 150. Widespread, so it's coming in kind of close to the mid. Sorry, I'm just looking at my phone for a second. Oh, okay, so it's coming in like not at the ask. It's kind of midish, so not really loving it. Always look at the tape, right? So like when you look at the chart only, you see this big green bar, so you think, ooh, like outside activity, sweet. Then when you actually dial into when you dig into the tape, it's not everything is as it seems. Kind of a widespread here. Let's see if there's any examples. Do I have any examples still in my contract lookup of contracts that filled at the ask but were likely sells? Maybe this Apple. I think most of the great examples have gone away. I think there's still an Apple 230 December. So I think that these Apple puts were shorted, not actually bought. And for someone to have that thesis for the next session obviously sucked because the contracts went up by like 50%. So you could have, if you shorted them, you would have been in the whole 50%. But they've since come back down. Not a great example. All the good ones that I had have expired, so I removed them from my watch list. Nick, can you link the YouTube video? Like the Apple, the one where we look at the Apple puts that were probably sells. Those actually did expire worthless, so that's actually a good example. Thank God it works out that way. So I mean, let's just look at a couple of the other PDD stuff. So this expires tomorrow, 125. Yeah, I mean, that's pointless. Who cares about that? 25. Yeah, so I mean, these, like, you guys remember when it popped after earnings and then it like went back down? Like a lot of these people seemingly held through that whole thing, which is insane to me. Not really seeing much on PDD. I think yesterday there was something. I don't remember if I saved it. 140, 10, 17. I don't remember. All right, let's move on here. We got the Unity end of month 55 strike. So indeed, high volume. However, the immediate thing that catches my eye here is that the open interest is also quite high. So let's see, U55 strike end of month. So it looks like someone has been trading these and they're just getting smoked. Let's see if this contract did actually fill at the ask on that day. Let's see. Need to go higher. So it was a lot of different volume, it seems like, or a lot of different transactions. Hard to say if they're being bought. I mean, like, it's easy to question it when it's lost over half its value, over like 3/4 of its value, pretty much. There was activity yesterday, so there was this big activity on the 15th, which resulted in a large increase in open interest. There was also big activity here. I mean, this candle's 6,000. This one's 7,000 volume, pretty much. But there's not really that much of a change in open interest. So, like, this might not have been opening. This could have been, this feasibly could have been a sell. Even though open interest goes up, like, what if they completely traded these contracts out with someone else, and the rest of this volume here is the opening volume? Who knows? I mean, you might see open interest decrease tomorrow. Like, what if this is a short call and they're buying to close here? Check it tomorrow, I think I would say. I mean, as always, check it. Always check it. But, you know, won't really know much more until you do check it tomorrow. But I'm not really sure. I'm not really convinced that it's a long position. But speaking of you, what am I still tracking here? So the 30 January calls that were hit back in May, still open. The 43 Octobers still open. Those were hit on August 21st and the 22nd. August 21st, large increase in open interest on the 22nd. August 22nd, large increase in open interest on the 25th. Not as much as we would have liked to see, but some new open interest nonetheless. There is a variety of U short put activity that I believe is floating around. The U24 Januaries, I mean, these are probably worth nothing now. These were filled at 253 back in July. The U36C, or 36P, excuse me, these were opened largely on the 5th, with another 1,000 traded on the 9th. So we'll presume that there's someone with about 6,000 of these short puts. And then also the 41. This is all on the same day. I think the 41 and the 42 same day. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't know much about you. I just know that, like, you know, there's like the cult following around it. Kind of, don't get insulted that I used the C word. I mean, you know, whatever it is. Yeah, you interesting. But now we got the Goog. The Goog, October 17th, 275 call. Do we see it here? No, let's just look it up. So they are in and out of these. They are in on the 15th. They're in on the 15th, and they're out on the 16th. Pretty easy read. You might say, but the open interest is still 5,000 plus. It went from 250 to 6,700, and maybe they did sell some, but the open interest is still 5,300. You might say that, and you know, you haven't said anything wrong. You're right. The open interest is still 5,300, but the contracts have just been handed off. So like, so this person, they bought them here, or they opened them. We know for certain that they opened them because the open interest went up, and then there's a very similarly sized candle, which results in a decrease in open interest. So like, okay, so now after the fact, we know that this was probably a close. Not probably, we know it was a close. Open interest doesn't decrease all the way as you might expect, and that is simply because the contracts were handed off. And by handoff, give me 1 second to pull up a tweet. All right, so I'm gonna link a tweet in the Discord chat, and I will link it, or I'll just pull it up here. So this is basically a similar example to what we're seeing here, right? So let me actually, I'll use this, but I'll frame it using Google. So right, so on Monday, Joe bought how many is this? Joe bought 6,000 Google calls. Okay, so on Monday, Joe bought 6,000 Google calls. On Tuesday morning, you check the open interest and you see that the open interest on the Google calls is 6,000 plus. 6,000 plus. Cool. Check, check. Right now, Tuesday, Joe puts his 6,000 contracts up for sale. Right, so that, and then Jane puts in the order and buys it from him. Right, so that's this guy's put the contracts up for sale. They've now been bought. Right, so open. Here's Jane taking the contracts from him. However, right, so Joe has closed his position, right? We know Joe had 6,000 contracts. We're seeing 6,000 contracts traded on the tape. So we know it's most likely Joe, right? We don't know that someone has we don't know that this Jane part is actually taking place. But we know that Joe has most likely put his contracts up for sale. We can figure out that this part has taken place once the next morning we wake up and we see that the open interest hasn't completely been wiped out, right? There are still, as we discussed, there are still 5,300 contracts. That is true, but they aren't owned by this individual. The person from this day no longer owns these. These are owned by someone else. In this case, Jane owns them, right? So Joe has closed his contracts, but they're still technically owned by Jane, so they're therefore counted towards open interest. So it can be confusing. What other stuff? Other examples? There's other examples. So if I just go to my options watch list, if I just pull up decreases in open interest, we should see some. Let's see. Lyft is a good one, I think. So Lyft, someone way back in the day owned 20,000 contracts, give or take. They rolled these out to a different strike, but let's just take a look at the numbers here, right? So Lyft was trading at like $23 at the time, right? So these were already several dollars in the money. And we're seeing 20,000 volume, but open interest only decreases by 10,000, right? I'm saying only 10,000 still a big number, but like we should have, there's technically 20,000 contracts were closed. But they weren't closed out completely, right? This trader has closed 20,000, but only 10,000 of them actually got closed out. There's still 10,000 of them in the ether somewhere. Another example, Google 330. Yeah, so here's another example, very, very, very similar. This is actually a great example. So we see here on the 15th on Monday, high volume. This is Joe buying 13,000 contracts. The next day, the open interest has increased as we would expect. Joe decides he's going to sell his contracts. We see a big volume on the tape. And then the next morning, we see that open interest has decreased some. Right? This was an 11,000 volume candle. You know, if open interest and volume worked 1-for-1, then we would expect to see minus 11,000, right? But we don't. We see only 5,500, give or take, because of how this stuff happened here, right? So when this guy goes to sell, there just happened to be someone on the other side waiting to assume their contracts. There are other instances in which the open interest completely clears out. Do we have any? Might not have any examples here readily, but there are examples where you'll see open interest decrease like pretty much exactly as you would expect. So I could probably conjure up a couple right here. So let me see. I'm on the open interest change feed. Show me decreases in open interest, in which yesterday there was a high amount of volume there. Perhaps just this one right off the bat. Yeah. So here's like another example. So this is a multi-leg trade. So don't think about anything other than the numbers here, right? So on the 16th, we see 100K plus, right? So 100K plus increase as you would expect. Here's them again, the same volume, very, very, very large decrease in open interest. However, not all the way, right? There's still 15,000 contracts somewhere, right? But for all intents and purposes, this trade is over. Let's see, DraftKings 55C, anything similar? It's kind of similar here. So we see, someone owned 40,000 contracts, right? I'm going to go back in here. Before I scroll down, I know I'm going to see maybe not one day, but there's going to be 1 or 2 days of 40,000 total activity, maybe. Okay, so here's 20. Okay, so several days, right? So it goes from 2,000 to 3,500. So that's 33 plus in just these sessions. Here's them adding another 5,000, and then here's them closing it all out. 10,000 one day, minus 9,000 ish. 20,000 the next day. Not the whole 20,000, but pretty close. Here's another 11,000. Who knows what you'll see a decrease in open interest, but it probably won't be all 11,000, right? It's going to be some number between 0 and 11,000. But who knows? We'll see. I guess we'll just do one more. Yeah, here's another similar example. We can see on the 15th, large volume. The next day, large increase in open interest. The same volume, right? Large decrease in open interest. Not all the way, right? This candle is 7,700 volume, but open interest only has decreased by 62. So it's not a full 1-for-1 transfer, right? I mean, if this doesn't make that much sense, that's fine. It might take some time to get there. It tricked me up for a long time. I couldn't understand it. I was like, where are the contracts going? Like, why aren't they going away? But just think about it a couple of times, sleep on it. You might start to make a little bit more sense. All right, so let's move on here. We spent a little bit of time there. Let's see here. CYBR, the cyber 400 strike puts. That's very far out of the money. Is this a situation where the tape tells us something that the chart does not? Let's see. What does the tape look like on these? The tape may not be very clear, but we will take a look. So this is the entirety of all activity for this specific contract. This specific contract has seen just 400 volume today. Does the tape say anything? Does it let us know? So this does eclipse earnings, but again, probably not really an earnings trade per se. I mean, like, there's nothing here to suggest that they were shorted in my estimation, but 400 just seems like way too much. Can I not see more? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't buy them. It's not to say that they won't hit. They could very well. Just, you know what? I changed my mind. They're short. I think they're short. The bid ask is just like so fucking huge here. The bid ask might have been 530 and some change, and like the ask might have been like 760, 770 on some of these. I don't know. I am also just a permeable, so I look through. I'm wearing bull tinted glasses right now through everything that I see. So take that with a grain of salt. Let's see. Let's move on here. Any pointers for reading dark pool? Unfortunately, I don't have any pointers. Don't use it. I will say that the people who I see using it, who I feel like probably have some idea what they're talking about, mainly use it for like support and resistance levels. That seems to be the only real practical use. But then also, if you find like large trades that exceed the normal volume, that could be also an indicator. So we got the Zevra Therapeutics, perhaps a bigly bull trade. We have a bid side put being traded with 2 calls that are probably a call spread. 10,000 volume, 10,000 volume, 10,000 volume, all multi-legged. I mean, it's like just very clear that this activity is linked. I've added all 3. I'm just going to click through. They're all going to take place at the same time. And this was at 2. This is at 2. This is at 2. What is this? Oh, they already made, well, I mean, why did they get filled so shitty here? Let's see. I mean, they probably overpaid massively. Who knows? I don't know. Very, very poor liquidity on this contract, as you can see. So, not sure. Lots going on there. Let's see. Moving on. Someone's mentioning BNMR. Let's see. BMNR. Tom Lee's baby. Let's see here. Some large flow orders into the January 16th 50, 60, and 65 strike. So would you say 55, 60, 65? All right. Let's see. BMNR 55. So they opened them. So yeah, I mean, you got a candle of, let's just say 5,000. Here's another 5,000. Open interest increases by more than 5,000 plus 5,000. So I mean, like they're probably, they're not probably, they're in their position. No large volume to accommodate them exiting. No large decrease in open interest to suggest that they've exercised. So this specific flow is still holding. The 60, don't see anything. How far back do we have to go? Yeah, I'm not seeing anything on the 60. How about the 65? Same thing on the 65. We have a big amount of volume. This candle is 5,700. Open interest increases in a manner that basically confirms that this specific candle is still in. Similarly to those open interest examples that we just went over for like 10 minutes a little bit ago, there's no candle that matches this. So like they're still in. That's not to say that they're still a bull, right? They could have shorted these, could have just been bad timing. So don't always lean on the open interest still being there as like a signal. Like it is a signal in some instances, but not in every instance. And there's no way to know which instances they are until like it's too late. So like it's kind of shitty, but like, you know, it is what it is. Let's see. Moving on, we got the ETH A. The ETH A end of month 35 strikers, indeed. 40 strike October. However, there's more open interest. I'll just look at those anyways, just to see. I'll look at those first. ETH A 40. Was looking for a similarly sized volume, but we don't see it. So it could be opening positions. But let's go back to the one that was requested. So we did have some big volume in the morning. A mix of bid and ask. Very, like there's just a lot going on here. So we're honestly not going to know what took place until tomorrow when the open interest updates. Like you might see like no change in open interest, which would suggest that they were just in and out of these all morning. But you also might see, I don't know, like 12,000 open interest, which would suggest that probably, you know, a large amount of this held overnight. Just depends on what you see tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, a lot of this is just like a, you know, you come up with a thesis, right? Like, do I think that they bought these or sold these? Do I think that they held them intraday? And then based on that, what kind of open interest values should I expect to see tomorrow? And then tomorrow morning, when you get the open interest value, you say, oh, my theory is potentially correct still, or you say, oh, you know, the open interest did something that I did not expect it to do. My theory is wrong, right? And it's fine if your theory's wrong. I'm wrong all the time. Do I have any examples where the open interest didn't do what I thought it was going to do? Not off the top of my head, but I mean, there's plenty of examples. Just come up with a guess. An educated guess as to what you think the open interest value will be. Like, so for instance, let's just look at a couple random chains here. So this chain, we have like very likely opening activity, 2,200 volume, right? What could the open interest be tomorrow? The open interest can be anything between 2,200 and 2,200 plus 1,400. So like it could be 1,400 or it could be 2,200 to like 3,600. And depending on how much it increases, that'll let you know if there was any kind of contract handoff or if it was fully opened. Doesn't really matter if there's a contract handoff on the open. I think the contract handoff really like that, or it just might not really matter ever, honestly. You just need to know that it exists. Let's see, not a good example. So this one, 7,000 volume here. So you might see, you know, you can see 7,000. You can see close to 9,500, something like that. This one you'll probably see 3,000. Anyways, let me try to get to the rest of these before we got to clock out here. Let's see here. Next, we got the FXI. FXI. The 41 puts 131. So it's the 41, 131. So probably just a big singular cross trade, in which case it's neither a buy nor a sell, really. Yeah, so it's a cross trade. It's a cross trade, which means that that means that a buyer and a seller have come together in holy unison to agree to take opposite ends of this trade. So there's not really a buyer or a seller here. They're just like, hey, like, let's do this trade. You go long, I go short. So like, who are you going to back, really, right? One person has decided that they think this is a good thing to go long. Someone else is either selling to them, think they're taking the other end, whatever. But it's a cross trade, so in that instance, I choose not to give it any weight. Did I see anything else interesting? I did not. Well, no, it's kind of out of the money. Yeah, I mean, FXI, if there's any FXI bull flow, then, you know, that might support the other bull flows that we've been seeing. Who knows? Just look at the feed real quick, see if any last minute stuff is going on. Some Live Nation, I think. Is that Live Nation? Yeah, Live Nation. Coreweave coming back. Coming back, baby. I mean, oh, it's not tomorrow. Never mind, that's next week. All right, let's see. Last one. The Marvel ADC December. So big volume on several occasions today. The open interest tomorrow will be interesting. It'll tell us a lot. Could really be it could be anything between 11,000 to like 16,000. So just see what it is. Oh, this is very far away. Oh, never mind, not 2026. Probably biased open if I had to guess, just by glancing at it, but no way to know for certain. I do expect you'll see a nice increase in open interest tomorrow, though. Let's see. BRAD has come through with a example of open interest updated that was way different. Let's see. Okay, so in this case, what happens here is, so there's something called a flex option. You guys don't need to know what this is, really. It's basically like, before I sound stupid, let me just Google it real quick here. Flex option. So it's kind of like, it's like a backdoor deal, basically, where like they're not actually trading it on the open market, but like the open interest exists because they've made this like backroom deal kind of thing. And it's not like a malicious thing. It's just like, it's just another weird market mechanic that we just have to get used to, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, backroom deal makes it sound shady. It's not shady. It's just like an institutional thing that like we can't do. But no shade, no sketchiness. Yeah, just like some other shit that we have to contend with, and work around. We got 2 minutes left here. Nick, you want to give that announcement thing maybe? Or not the announcement, but like whatever the thing is that we were gonna say.
Yeah, dude. Not, I keep hitting at the SNL thing coming back. It's not, but in the next few weeks, we're going to be running a new, potentially daily show around market open. Just kind of going over flow trades, arguing about trades, talking shit, whatever you want. It'll be pretty much market open on weekdays, so be on the lookout for that early October. You get to see my silly mug every morning.
Yep. So be on the lookout for that. Those Tesla 700C Junes getting closed out today. Anything else getting closed out today that we can see? Oh, Marvel 70s post earnings being rolled. What are you rolling to? You are rolling to 75C. So buy, sell, buy most likely. How much money did they make? So this was 2.6 mil. I'm just estimating. So 2.6 mil. This was 7.3. So that's what, 4.7. This is 4.5. So they're keeping 200K, and they have a 10,000 free contracts of this thing, apparently. We should see an increase in open interest on these tomorrow. I'll just add those just because I need to keep an eye on that guy. Let's see what else we got. Anything else last minute? NDX has closed. This is a sell. This is actually a sell to open, right? Even though it's green, this is a sell. This is them buying to close. I know the colors are kind of opposite what you guys would expect, but just trust me. I can provide proof as well if you guys are interested, if you don't believe me. But I think that'll do it for today. This entire recording will be put on YouTube soonish. I know I said that last time and I lied, but I think this time it won't be a lie.
And to be fair, I mean, we did live
we'll be back here
stream
next
it,
week.
so-
If you guys haven't already, if you guys scroll down the server into the unlock free channel, let me, I just linked it in the Discord. If you go there, go to that channel, and then click on that little TV icon on the bottom, and that'll give you a ping whenever we go live, or whenever I say, hey, stream coming down in 2 minutes, or not 2 minutes, like 2 hours, and then I'll ping it again once the stream is about to start. So if you guys want to get notified when we go live, hit that. But yeah, so FedEx and Lennar, whatever's going on there. If you guys didn't know, the earnings calendar list view actually returns data live. So let's see, what's today, the 18th? So there's only 3 tickers reporting. Sort by market cap, yeah. So now you can see this guy, Scholastic. Oh, rest in peace, Scholastic. I mean, Scholastic's probably still a thing, right? I don't know. I just haven't seen that word in a long time. It's been a long time since I've seen that word.
I can pop out the book fair, baby.
That's what I'm saying. But yeah, this thing updates live. As you can see, FedEx maybe ticking up a little bit. Post earnings, looks like it's still going. Remember, they need that contract. It was 245C, right? But that they paid $3, so that actually needs to be 248 for them to make any money. I mean, it's going in the right direction, but remains to be seen. But yeah, that'll do it for today, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Later, dudes.